The first thing we start is the GS. Second is the optional. Third is your current affairs. Fourth is CSAT. 5 your prelims MCQs. 6 answer writing, and 7 is essay writing. There is nothing more than this, and these are the 7 pillars of this whole preparation. The 7 things are there. Now each have the different strategy. When you talk about the GS, in GS you have the 2 type of topics. One is that static oriented, one is the dynamic subjects are there. When you say that the static part, the static is nothing but your polity, economy, modern history, and your geography. The dynamic nature is in environment, science and tech, your international relation, including the current affairs is also dynamic. I put this ancient and medieval history and art and culture also dynamic because the questions are unpredictable there. From where they are asking the question is difficult to predict. When we say static here, the predictability of the questions are easier. But here predictability of the questions are very difficult. Here more current affairs is there, less static is there. So now you can't have for the whole GS same strategy. You need to have the different strategy for the static and different for the dynamic. Here more static part you have to cover. Here more dynamic, that is the current affairs, except this part you have to cover. Right? So make sure that how you are focusing on these subjects, where here basics are very important. And if you'll ask, whenever I ask, like now we are interacting a lot with those who have cleared this exam, they'll say that what they are going to do in next 1 month, they'll say that they will read this only and leave everything. Other thing they will solve through the elimination, through some logical guessing. But this part requires the multiple revision, because if I'll ask you like what is the majority required for the removal of the president, and compare with the majority required for the removal of the deputy speaker, it might bring confusion for anyone who has cleared 6-time prelims also, because these are facts. And when these are the facts, it requires the multiple revision. So if I have to give prelims of 2026, I leave everything here except CSAT. CSAT cannot be ignored. I'll definitely practice. And what I will do is that I'll do this 4th subject, and what I will do is that I do the PYQs here. These 3 things only I'll prioritize. And you ask any topper, if you are in the contact, those who have cleared the prelims, ask them in last 15 days or last 1 month, if you are giving for 2026, which subject you are going to focus. I can write you with the guarantee, I can guarantee you, they will say that these 4. With the PYQ and the CSAT, because of the CSAT is getting tougher and tougher. Getting that clarity that despite these becomes very attractive, you will see that the environment question, the most of the doubts I get is that how to cover environment, how to cover the science tech, how to cover this ancient medieval. So there more doubts are here. But many of the toppers who clear the prelims, even for the forest 140 also, they leave also this part. Because they know this strategy. Strategy is that where they can get more when they invest 8 to 10 hours. You invest 8 to 10 hours covering this, another person investing that 8 to 10 hours in this 4, that person is going to clear who is focusing here for sure. That is the exam nature, because that is where you are getting the marks. That's fact. That doesn't mean that I'm asking you to leave this. I'm talking here about what? Priority. When you are revising, when you have the 10 days only, let's say, what you are going to prioritize. It doesn't mean that we completely leave this part. Okay, we are not talking like that. We are saying that the prioritizing. How much time you are allocating. How many tests you are giving for the polity and how many tests for environment. Suppose you are giving 4 sectional tests for the polity and 4 environment. That's wrong strategy. There should be 6 tests for the polity and 2 tests for the environment. That is what I am trying to say. I'm not saying leave the environment, and I'm not saying that give the equal weightage. When you're equalizing environment and the polity, that means your strategy is wrong. Okay, these are hard truth, and if you are here just to listen that the what are the in general things, I'm not going to say that. These are hard truth. You talk to the toppers, you will realize this, and that's a fact thing. And those who knows me, you know that what I say is that until unless I don't believe it, I don't practice it in my own preparation, I won't say that. Okay, so I got very late realization. I invested a lot of time here. Okay, so make sure that your time is well invested. That is the GS part. I will go, see here we are not going to go for the subject wise, like every subject have their own strategy, that is the different but here please understand this part. When you will cover for 2027 also, make sure that what are your priority areas. Okay. Second, now I spoke about the prelims here. I'm talking about only prelims here. When it comes to the mains, for the mains, when it comes to the GS, see in GS or optional, for mains, remember notes making is very important. If you're going for the 2027 without notes, it becomes difficult to replicate our knowledge on the paper. So notes making become important in the GS. Optional 100%. No matter what optional you have, in optional you need to have the notes, non-negotiable. In GS, in GS3 it's difficult to make notes, but GS1 you should have the notes, because GS1 is more static. You pick the micro topic, micro themes. You know, in the mains, we don't prepare notes for the prelims. I mean, here in the GS, prelims notes generally we don't prepare except the short notes before prelims. So if you are preparing notes for the prelims, it becomes difficult. You know what happened is that I tried to prepare notes for the economy. Always you have this feeling of something is missing when you prepare the notes for the prelims. Why that happens? For mains, you have the luxury to choose what you can write or you want to write for a particular topic. Suppose one topic came, right to information. Everybody knows right to information, right? That act is there 2005, right? Now, suppose the question came, write the features of right to information and critically analyze it. Now, what you're going to write in the mains, you can choose. You can start with the definition of right to information. You can start with the act. You can start with the Supreme Court judgment. There is no boundary, right? You can write the 5 provision. Another person can write the 3 provision. Everything is luxury. With 3 provision also, that person can get the same marks also if the quality is good. But in the prelims, if they ask what is the time limit within which RTI must be answered. Now that is specific. Let's say the 30 days. You need to know it is 30 days. But if that 30 days you don't know in the mains, that's okay. That point you didn't write, something else you wrote, but you filled the both pages. So in mains you have this luxury, what you want to write, what diagram you want to draw. But in prelims you don't, they will ask the specific thing. So suppose you have prepared the notes which have the limited things and UPSC asks something else, then you may not be able to solve that question in prelims. But in mains, no matter what question they ask, if you have, let's say, the 1-page note, you will be able to address that question. So that's the difference between pre and mains, and that's why I say in the mains, notes making is compulsory. So there we identify the themes based on the PYQ and the syllabus, and that based on that theme only we prepare the notes, that intro, body, conclusion, different aspect, and done. Later on we update. But for prelims, if you are preparing note, it becomes very difficult. I throw my notes. But yeah, for short notes I prepared before prelims where I am forgetting. I used to forget between simple majority, this majority required for this national emergency, resident rule, and then the financial emergency. Then there is time limit. Confusions are there. There is confusion between the money bill, financial bill, ordinary bill, constitutional amendment bill. So I used to prepare the short notes. So such kind of notes we need to prepare. where we forget, where we make mistake in the prelims part. But in mains, remember, you need to have the proper notes, points, example, data, those all things are required. Without them, getting high marks becomes difficult. 400 we need to get here, 400 minimum, I'm saying. 400 is minimum, right? So to get that 400, the proper value addition and notes are compulsory. For prelims, not required. You highlight the Lakshmikant, Vivek Singh book for economy, modern history spectrum, geography NCERT. Go for prelims. No need for the notes except the short notes which I said where you forget. But mains, that's not possible. That's not possible. Not at all. Lakshmikant is not at all sufficient for the mains. Not possible. Economy also not possible. Modern history somewhat possible because of the content is necessary. Geography also not possible. Okay, so make sure that for mains you are making notes. For prelims you revise, you focus more on multiple revision of same source, right? So when you have these classes for these subjects, keep these facts on mind. I'm trying to tell you like what are the things which are important for the exam and where we have to prioritize. First point I said is that which subject to prioritize. Second, where you are making notes, because notes making is the biggest dilemma among all minds. When to start, what to write, how to make these all things. But before that, for which subject you should make notes, prioritize for the mains. And there also first priority should be optional. Okay, optional should be the first priority. Then come to GS1, ethics. Then GS2 and last, if you have time, GS3. Okay, so the notes making priority also you should have the clarity. These are the strategies. Suppose you are starting with GS3. I made notes for GS3. Stupid decision. GS3 is the most dynamic subject. You see, the economy is current based, environment current questions they are asking. Then your disaster is somewhat static. Then internal security also recent things they ask. Agriculture somewhat static. So more dynamic GS3. I made notes of that content. Wasted my almost 1 month. 1 month I wasted. Because why? Because I didn't know the priority. I should have prioritized GS1. Still I did. Today also I don't have notes for GS1. This time I made somehow for geography and the modern history. And since I taught Indian society in Vijayawada, so I had notes for Indian society. But if I was strategic, first I would have made the GS1 because that's the static. And that's why my marks are very less. First attempt 73 GS1. Second attempt 85. Third attempt 74. Third means. And this time I improved because of notes. So your marks in the mains will be proportional to the quality of notes you are having for the static subjects. This time even I could make notes for the GS3 also. And GS3 I got one of the highest mark, 105. That's rare. Average is 80 marks. That is all because of the notes, and I have good command over economy and these things. Agriculture is my optional and economy I have taught here in different batches. So I had a very good notes for them, so I could replicate them. So notes making is important for mains, not for prelims. That's the fact you should know while you go for the preparation. Coming to optional, see, the second part is that optionals. I don't know you have decided your optional for those who are going for the 27 or not, but this is the time you should have the clarity over optional. If you are in the doubt, then sort it down for 2-3 optional, then choose. I mean, don't blindly choose because everyone is choosing. Choose the optional where you have some interest. See, everything is new for us, right? So getting that interest is also difficult, but you have some interest in that subject and then you just go for it. Then there is no looking back. I had doubt till I was entering the mains hall whether agriculture I made it right decision or not. My father has no knowledge about UPSC, but still I was trying to tell him that I chose agriculture, I should have chosen sociology. So at least I would have written something by my mind without any knowledge also. But agriculture, if they ask photo respiration, I know nothing. I just wanted him to tell me that it's okay, agriculture is good, something. But he didn't tell anything. So I went with the underconfidence. So just before entering, I'm talking about the optional exam day, and before 1 hour before leaving for exam hall, I am having this dilemma. I made mistake and this all. But that year I got 235 without preparation. So I got confidence. Yes, now agriculture is decided. So every time I got very good mark in agriculture. So once you decided, have the confidence, right? You can, if you are in the right strategy, right content you are putting, you will get mark. UPS is all about you. If you are fulfilling their demand, they will give you marks. Yes, luck factor will be there small little bit, but still you can reach up to the rank definitely. So for optional, choose one, just go for it. Third is that in optional, attend, if you are attending the classes, attend the class, understand the concept, each one. Fourth, there is the need for the references. Reference book are important there. If you are getting very good notes, that's okay. If you are getting good notes, then that's okay, not required that much a reference book. Fourth is the notes making. You need to have your notes in optional, non-negotiable. I told the first priority is the optional notes. The fifth is that writing test and answers. And remember, when you write, the mistake what we do, whether we write for the answer for the GS or the optional, one mistake what we do is that what I used to make, I wrote the answer. Then what, suppose the question came on, let's talk about the PDS system. Everyone knows about PDS. So it asks like the what are the constraint and way forward for the PDS system in India. That's question they ask. So I wrote the introduction, body, conclusion and everything. Then how I will evaluate that? I used to see the model answer and say, okay, they have this point also, this point also. So I used to write over that same answer. That's the wrong way of evaluating the paper. How should I evaluate? I should have my answer. I should bring my notes for that particular topic and along with the model answer. First, compare with your own notes. How many points which are there in your notes you could write in the answer. That should be your parameter. Otherwise, what will happen? Every time you will write the test, every time they will bring the new model answer for different coaching institute, every time you will be getting the new content. But every time you can't revise the multiple coaching institute model answers, right? So your core reference is what? Your notes. So always compare with your notes. Same for prelims test also. Compare which topic you are making mistakes, see that go back to that topic and check why you are making mistake despite that content is there in your notes. But what we do is that behind there is model answer, we see and just go up. These are small things we do that. I used to do that. Please don't make those mistakes. Go back. Your notes should be your key reference. So here that is the thing. Optional, you need to have the proper notes. So if you're going for 27, remember class notes. If the proper structuring is there, then okay. I mean, it should be in the intro, body, conclusion format. Your notes also. Okay, so I think in optional strategy, how I made is that if topic is there, suppose in political science there is a topic of let's say the president power. The question is on the president power. Now in the president power, if question is there, what your note should be, what introduction you are going to write on that particular topic. What are the different aspects UPSC have asked? Different types of powers, comparison of president power with the American president power, then the president power limitations, comparison of president power with governor's power, discretionary power comparison. So different aspect I will make the subheadings and have the notes of all these things, and at the end you need to have some quotes, some conclusions and the value addition points. So every subject should have this. Suppose you are getting that from a class, whatever class you are going to attend for sociology, political science, then that's okay. But if you are not getting, let's say in that format, leave the spaces, because see the timeline is such that you won't get that much time. Always I say that do the backward planning. So your target is May 2027. Now if May 2027, you will leave at least January 2027. This is for the pre. So you don't have this time. Leave that time. Now you come from this December what is this month? Let's take it as May 26 till December 26. This is the time you have. How many months? Huh? Suddenly felt like exam is tomorrow, right? You have only 7 months. If you want to get rank, this is just the ticket to mains, right? It is not going to decide your rank. If you want selection, this is the 7 months you have. Right? Because here you are going to, you will start fearing for prelims. You will start working for prelims. So you won't be working on your mains answer writing, your content. And where you get marks? Marks are all about from mains only, right? So your essay, optional, GS, answer writing, these all things. Your answer writing, essay, optional and this GS has to be covered in this 7 months. Right? So the time, it's not like you have a lot of luxury, and that's why when I said that about the optional, I don't think you will be able to get that additional time to read again and prepare your own notes if you are taking classes for the optional. And I think most of you are taking classes either here or online or anywhere. If you are taking classes, then you will, it might go, means my prediction is that it might go till December only. Many time it goes till December, 7-8 months. Sometimes people finish in 5 months. If they are finishing in 5 months, next 3 months you can do for the answer writing. But again, notes making will be problem for you. I'm making you visualize what is going to be your life in this 1 year. So imagine you in the month of December, you will be feeling like sir, my optional is not completed. I have not done answer writing. I don't have notes. I'm listening these things during December from our students. So make sure that you don't fall into this trap. So for that, what you need is that 2 things can happen. One is that you have May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and this is December, right? So either you finish the syllabus in these 5 months of optional, and this 3 months you can revise and write test, but still in 3 months you can't make notes. Very difficult to make notes. It's lengthy, right? Options are lengthy. Suppose you are attending the classes, one strategy you can follow is that be aware about the requirement, what kind of notes are required for your optional. Those who are preparing for 27, I'm saying that make sure that you are aware what kind of notes are required for the different topic. As I told, intro, body, conclusion. There is one video on my notes making. There I have shown my, in the YouTube it is there, my own optional notes. So when, I can't say that the faculties will give the same kind of notes or not. If they give, you are very lucky. If not, then you can't rely on the faculty, right? It's your journey, your challenges, your life. So you can't completely depend. So you need to have your strategy. So my suggestion is that what you do is that you manage your notes properly. Don't start I have seen in the classes, in ethics class, I used to say leave spaces, leave 1 page, because later on you have to update that. Right? So make sure that you leave spaces, no issue. Let it be lengthy. People fear like there should be 1 pager note. Yep, in 1 pager 1000 word is there. I use 10 pages for the 1000 word. Words matter, na? To revise, same time it will take. You are just writing small 1000 page. I made 1 pager note. And I made that through diagram in 10 pages. Each page 100 words. You tell me how it will scientifically, how is it possible that both will take the different time? Right? So don't worry, give spaces. Otherwise, you have to make your own notes again. And then in that case, you won't be able to give 2027. You may able to give 2027 and you will not be ready for optional. If you go like you think like the first I will make class notes and then again make my own notes, not possible. What you can make is the short notes. Very short notes, what you can put in your paper. So make sure that you manage your paper properly. Give spaces, If they are not giving the introduction, you feel in the class introduction is not given, leave the space first. Suppose here they are teaching about let's say that the parliamentary system they are teaching. Okay, now here you need the introduction. If they have not given, just leave some points where you can write the introduction and start the topic. And what else you need in every topic, make sure that you are getting that. What else you getting, they might not give you. For example, suppose I'm talking about the political science, okay? Political science. What things you need? You need Supreme Court judgments. You need article. You need law commission report. You need some quotes, right? You need some flow diagram. Let's say. And let's say your faculty didn't give this content wherever you are taking. Then later on again you will feel like in my notes these things are not there, you will start making notes again. You will waste your time. So my point here is that you should be aware like what things are required in my notes for political science, for sociology, for anthropology. And then in the class, be ready before the class is starting. At least don't go blindly and sit there that whatever faculty is teaching and just listening to it. And you're feeling like the whatever is given is sufficient. Then you will, after some time, when you will reach this time, you'll feel like this is not sufficient, sir. What should I do? It will happen if you're not prepared for the future. Right? So my point here is be prepared for these points. If it is not there, leave some space so that later from toppers copy, from current affairs, from other resource, you update it. Same for sociology. So if the proper philosopher's sociologist's name is not given, quotes are not there, then you need to leave the space so that you can use the same content for your final notes, and so that you don't waste time in making notes during this time. So what you will do, whatever notes you have made, you will practice during this 3 months or 2 months, whatever time is left. You will be more than prepared for the optional before entering to the mains in the May 2027. If you won't go with this strategy, believe me, you will struggle during this November, December. You will struggle. And it will happen. It's very difficult to finish the syllabus in 3 months, 4 months. And there will be leaves, faculty will take sometime leave, sometime break, sometime festival will come. So many things happen. It extends. Right? So understand the reality and be prepared for that beforehand so that you don't suffer later. Okay? So this is the thing which is going to happen. During this time, your optional should be ready. During this, your GS should be completed. Okay, I'm not talking from our academy point of view. Okay, I'm talking about wherever you are studying or whatever you are studying. Any aspirant should be following this thing. These are the phases. These are the pre-phase. Here, these 3 months are the pre plus mains phase. Many people who have less confidence about pre, they start prelims from here itself. And these 5 months are completely mains. Don't even think about prelims. These 5 months. May, June, July, August, September. Okay, this is completely mains phase. This is the pre plus mains phase. And this is the pre phase. And then comes the again mains phase and then interview phase and then this again. So that is the cycle of UPSC. Okay, then about this current affairs. Current affairs, there are 2 dilemmas here. I don't know what you are following. One is that monthly plus daily newspaper and another is the yearly compilation. Initially I used to follow yearly, then I switched to monthly, then again now I follow yearly. Now why that fluctuation is because see what happens is that yearly when you cover, so what happens for mains different magazine will come, for prelims different magazine will come. So when you clear the prelims, now that prelims wala booklet you can't use in the mains. For mains again you have to study the different magazine. But when you read the monthly, it is both pre plus mains. So you don't have to repeat that during the mains. So when you are studying this during this time, so when after this, again you don't have to read the another magazine. Whatever magazine you are following during this time, same will be useful. So you save a lot of time. So in my 2022-23 attempt, I did that. 25 attempt, I had read the monthly. But then during the mains, time was very less. Nowadays, they have made just 2 months, 2.5 months. So I had very less time, so I had to rely on the yearly. So see what I told you, the pros or cons of both. That's your choice, where you are going. But daily newspaper is important. Means you don't have to invest 3 hours, 4 hours. At least 1 hour, just look the headlines. Very helpful that. And I don't think you should start making notes out of that newspaper. What helps you, UPSC asks the question and it gives you the context. Very important, very important. It gives you the context, like suppose they are asking about the speaker removal procedure in the mains. You start with the recently there was a resolution in the Lok Sabha to remove the speaker. If you start with that, the examiner will know that yes, the candidate knows the context. Right? If they ask about the discretionary power of the president, you start with that. Recently there was debate about the discretionary power of governor and the president, which brought this comparison in the news. And then you bring the articles provision. So when you know the current affairs, you know the news, you bring that unconsciously or subconsciously, you bring that context in your answer. That gives you extra marks. So that's why reading at least newspaper you are getting here also, and whatever source you are following, at least see the headlines. That's very important. Then the CSAT, CSAT has always been tricky. I have been the score of 66.667. This was my first CSAT score. That score opened my eyes like yes, you can't take it for granted. This requires sufficient practice. The CSAT, one strategy what I will suggest you is that there are reading comprehension and then the other part like the quant plus reasoning, this part. Most of us start with reading comprehension, then go for the quant. This will be 27 question and rest of around how many? 53, right? 30? Yeah, around 53 question for that part. Now we need to solve how many? 50 question. 50 question. Now what I do is that around 25, 27 I solve, at least 25 I solve here. The rest of the 25 out of 53 I have to solve 25. Two things remember. Number one, first I solve 25, then I need to choose 25 out of 53. That means I don't have to go from the first to last. I have regretted in 2021, see, till the pre-result doesn't come, you are under the fear whether you will clear or not, because you are border. Some academy, when I am counting, it is showing 53, some are showing 83, some are showing 70. So it's completely confusion whether you will clear or not. So it's always a dilemma, right? So the 50 is the safe one. But in those attempts, what happened is, I left very easy questions because I was solving from beginning. So what I do is that I pick the questions quickly. I see that this is remove. I'll see later. Easy. I find out easy parts. Just pick them, solve them, because you have to solve 25 out of 53. Remember, solving 25 out of 53 will depend on how much time you are giving to the reading comprehension. Many aspirants, what they do is that they give 60 minutes, out of 2 hours, they will give 60 minutes to the reading comprehension and the 60 minutes to this. It's very difficult, almost impossible to solve 25 questions in 60 minutes. So if you're giving 60 minutes here, 60 minutes here, this time will reduce, you won't be able to solve 25, you end up solving 15, 20. Then the number of questions will decrease, and then the risk of not qualifying CSAT will increase. Now the solution, you reach 25 or plus, depends on how quickly you solve the reading comprehension. This year I solved the reading comprehension in 30 minutes. So that's why I could solve 53 questions. And this year my CSAT score was first time more than 90 marks. So I didn't had any doubt in the CSAT. Now how is it possible you solve in 30 minutes the reading comprehension? For that, what I did is that I didn't read the reading comprehension, the passage. I started from the options. I read first the options, I eliminate options, the extreme and whatever we learn, and then I just justify or the check whether out of these two, whatever two eliminated, two is left, I just check in the passage which one is correct. That saves a lot of time. Try this in the PYQ. You'll get the difference actually, because earlier you're reading the story, trying to understand the passage. Later, I'm just trying to find an answer in the passage. So you will be able to solve very quickly. Otherwise, what happens? First you read, then forget in the pressure, then again you read the option and then go back and again check which one is right, which is wrong. Okay. See, ultimately here nobody is testing your knowledge. Everybody is, what matters is that whether you are qualifying or not. How you are qualifying doesn't matter. This I followed this step. That's why earlier I used to solve in 45 to 60 minutes. This time I solved in the 30 minutes. Try this, okay? So that was for the CSAT. Other thing you know, for CSAT, selecting the topics is important. Number one, solving the reading comprehension quickly as soon as possible. That 30 minutes to 35 minutes is important. Then only you can give more time here, and that way you can reach the 50 question. That is the strategy. You apply this, I am 100% sure that will help you. 100%. This works. Try this in the PYQ, not in the coaching. In the PYQ you have to try. Okay. So that is the about the CSAT part. See, these two are the completely different part. Answer writing is the everything here. All the marks will depend on your answer writing. Some people write very less answer. It is because they already have the writing skill. Don't confuse. Like, okay, we can clear this exam because one topper said like that they didn't even write any test and still got very high marks. It is because they have very good writing skill from the college itself. That means they know how to present their knowledge on the paper based on the demand of the question. So don't be confused. Answer writing is important. Okay, you have to practice. Suppose you are good in replicating and bringing your answers, your information on the paper based on the demand of the question, then no problem. But if not, then you need to practice answer writing and the essay. Essay will have this very different session. We can't discuss here. Okay, so these are the areas one need to be careful, and to achieve these all things, what things are required? You need to read these books. Not for all subject, but these 4 subject books are important. Without books, don't go. I mean, really important here. For prelims especially. Books or classes, whatever you source you follow. This is for the conceptual clarity. First, I made this conceptual clarity. I read by myself these books, and wherever I had the doubts, I used the free resource of YouTube and other sources, and I cleared those doubts here. The second part comes is that once you have done this, what you need is that your notes. Books, classes, then you need to have your notes. Third thing is the test. Fourth is mentorship. This I realized very late. In initial attempt, I used to think like I can do everything. But later on, I realized that I'm lacking in something. This part is the very, very crucial part. Mentorship, I'm not talking about this kind of mentorship. The most effective is the one-to-one mentorship, where you can get the personalized inputs. That's very crucial. And one of the reasons I came here is because of that I was lacking at home. It's very difficult, very important that the one person should be able to see your progress, tell you your gaps, and let you know where you are lacking. One person. Not like the every time you're changing your mentor, 10 mentors. No, not like that. 1, 2. Okay, 2. That's why, because sometimes one mentor might be missing. So sometimes, and it's not like that you are hiring 2 mentors. Not like that. Just having the discussion sometime in a month or maybe year or sometime in between. Right? That you can get from your seniors or anyone. Anything else here? And the 5th thing is that for your motivation part, that is important. Remember, there is nothing motivation but create a system. If you're don't have any huge motivation of mother, fathers, their dream or my dream and these all things, if you don't have but still want to clear, then create the system for it. You might not have that vision of changing the world or and helping the society, uplifting the poor. That's okay. You take it as a career, na? Civil service as a career, secured life. There is no, job security is there now. Because of layoffs, AI layoffs are happening in the private sector. So people want like the secure job. So that your motivation is, I want a good paying job, good facilities, job security, as well as the challenging job. Yeah, that is the motivation. But that may not be able to motivate you to study this much. So please create the systems. When I say that creation of the system means having the peer pressure, having the plans, having the target, having one person who is able to scold you if you are not able to do that. Give the luxury to slap also that person. Really, if you really want to do that, give that luxury to that person and still be humble to that person. If you really want, and if you don't have that emotional support, some people have the breakups and then start preparing to become. There are some movies on this, all right. So if you don't have, then what you can do? So be practical and create your own system, libraries, this kind of study halls, or the plans, peer accountability. These are very important. And remember, here I see many people are preparing from 10 people group. There is no peer. The 10 cannot be peer. Peer can be maximum 4. 2, 3, 4. If more, there will be more distraction, more discussion, unnecessary discussions happen. When 3, 4 are there, you can control the discussion. So have this 3, 4 who are very serious in preparation, not in tea. Then it can work. But if they are more interested in the tea time talk, then it can be a problem, right? So be very serious and be there. You have to think about yourself, right? Every time you can't be very, very generous always. You have to think like whether it is helping you or not. If not helping, say the goodbye. Have the dare to say the goodbye. Whether it is your roommate, whether it is your peer, if you don't have the dare to say that, then you will be stuck. And if it is not happening, not helping you, still you are there because you're thinking what they will think. Imagine after 4 years, if you won't clear, how many people, how many times, and how many type of thing they will think about you. Now one person, but later so many persons. So don't hesitate to say something which is important for you. Don't, because now you will feel, but later on, if the person is good friend, they will understand because he or she did that because it was important for that person. Okay, so don't worry. So think about the system is the distractions are part of your system. Remove your phone for if you are giving prelims. Smartphone, leave it. Have the keypad or don't at all have it. That's also part of my system. I made it part of my system because that was distracting me. I removed that from my environment. It's career, right? Ultimately, things has to work for you. So sometimes tough decision you have to take. I'm not saying that you should do that. I'm telling the example of system. When I say the system means what environment which is making you to study. The kind of environment you are, it will make you to think in that way only. So make sure that you create a system. Like here they have created very good system. That's why that was one of my suggestion also, and very glad they did it. They have the test center, they have mentors here only. Now they have created study hall, classroom. So the system is being created here. So that kind of system should be there when you're preparing alone. If you're able to do that, that's best. If not, if you're demotivating, if you are inconsistent, then bring a system. Okay, so that is the part. How will you do that? That will depend on the individuals. So I told you about the phases. I told you about the resources. Now one by one we'll go in subsequent classes, but this was the overview. I'll take some questions also, but before that, what here, I mean, this was all learning. The day I came here to Hyderabad, we had a lot of discussion on how to change the kind of training, kind of education we try to give here in Saratchandra IS Academy. Like these are the pillars I wanted to make. It should not be. I had the very clear understanding, and I am really glad that Sarat sir and Ram sir, others also understood that the classroom oriented, classroom focused preparation is not working. When I'm taking class here and just giving the lecture, and then you're not getting the handhold support individually, that is not going to bring the effectiveness. That is one of my understanding. Speaking with a lot of students, I understood that classroom oriented coaching is not helping. Until unless we are not supporting that classroom support, that is yes, it is important. That is, the lectures are important, but it has to be supported by the personal mentorship. A student, after coming out of the classroom, that student should be having the access to one mentor who can tell and guide them. That's very, very important. Personal mentorship is the key part of this whole preparation. Very important. Earlier it was not in the focus. Now these days the personal mentorship has become very crucial. So I'm really glad that this has been included. That's why the new mentors are being recruited. Ma'am is there, I'm there. So Vasanti ma'am is there, Kavita ma'am and others are also there to guide individually. Third thing which was the required is that what I was saying in the system, that study hall is very, very important. We requested a lot. Finally we have this one so that our students can study there only. Fourth is the test center. You need to have the test center here only so that the student can write the test, go to the mentor, discuss, and then have the study hall to revise there. And then finally the content, good content, original content, where you are getting whether it is current affairs, test series, these all things. So these are the 5 things. I think one coaching institute who are trying to provide this civil services coaching must have these 4-5 things. And if you see here, they are providing this. Classrooms are here, faculties are there. Personal mentorship is the core part of this whole coaching. And I'm really glad that this is the focus part, and we are doing this, the personal mentorship part. And then study hall recently started. Test center was there. Content, the very good content they are trying to create. So this strategy part is being provided here. So those who are here, we need to have this confidence, like this is the environment which is required. You go anywhere. This is, if you are getting this environment, then that's absolutely fine and for this preparation. Now I'll take some questions from your side, like any question we can discuss now. Any doubt, questions for this year, 26 or 27? Any year? So what issues are going on last 1 month for 2026, those who are appearing? When I was giving, one issue used to come, that is the simulator score. We used to call this as simulator score syndrome. we used to write Abhyas test. So in Abhyas test, one test just before the prelims, I got 46 marks. I thought I should skip this. 46, you imagine you are not getting anything near it, near the cutoff. That was the Vision IAS Abhyas 2021 score. Before that, I had the 64, 56. These were the scores I had. This was the coaching institute test. But in actual exam, I got 94. It happened. Because, see, the UPSC kind of question nobody can make. So, UPSC have their own style of asking questions. So, you might, and sometimes coaching institute makes very tough questions, very tough question. And what we do is that we start judging ourselves. See, one thing, please put that in your mind. No matter what it is, if you're going without confidence, doesn't matter whether you have well prepared, everything is prepared, all syllabus is completed or not. If you're going without confidence, you're not going to make it. Confidence is the essential part. So anything which is putting you under the underconfident area, you have to bring that confidence there for the whatever you have done. You need to believe that. That is the thing, because there, if you don't have the confidence, you will fear to mark the correct answer. Every question you will have the doubt. You won't believe on your gut feeling. And in this exams, gut feeling also matters. You have to go for it. You need to solve more number of questions. So when you solve the more number of questions, when you have this simulated test which decrease your confidence, it happens when you score very less, you start judge yourself. Your confidence level declines. So please make sure that you are not having that kind of mentality, because you have with this kind of mentality you can't clear. I mean, you need to have the confidence. That is the one problem. Yes. I understood, but I need more clarity. Can anyone translate? Sorry, I don't understand it. Huh? I understood somehow, like the when. Yeah, yes, please.
So if I can eliminate all options from four options, and the other options are not able to eliminate, if I'm using the wrong option most of the time, so
how should I reduce that wrong? See, first of all, suppose there is one question like which among the following is not part of P5 countries in United Nations Security Council. Something like question is there, right? So here option 1 is there. Let's say that it's a very easy question, but just to understand, right? India. Let's say like the France. Second is China. Third is UK, and fourth is India. Now this is very easy question. You can easily solve this question, but just to have, I don't have question right now, so I created this question. Now, suppose France, I know it's a very powerful country from the before independence only, right? So it is a part of it. So it is a part of the P5. P5, you know, the powerful 5 UNSC permanent member basically. Second, China is the, yes, they are blocking our a lot of resolution. So this is also the part of. So these cannot be. Suppose I am confused between the UK and India. India is not, I know, but just for the sake of understanding UK and India. Let's keep it as UK and let's say that the Australia. Something like this. Now, if the confusion is there between the UK and Australia, first of all, you have to mark it. Whether you Australia or UK, you have to mark it. Because there is 50% chance that you are going to mark it correct, because you are 100% sure that the France and China are not the right answer. 100% sure. So you came from 25% chance of getting correct answer to 50% chance of getting correct answer. Okay. Now suppose you got 20 such question where you have this 50-50 wala dilemma. Right. Now in 20 questions, you marked all of them. Now tell me what is the worst what is the probability says? How many you will get correct? How many wrong? Based on probability, either 10 will be right, 10 will be wrong. 50% probability, right? 50% will be right, 50% wrong. So if 10 is right, then is 20 mark, 10 into 2. 10 is wrong means how many? 20, 1/3. That is 2/3. 6.66. So how many positive you are getting? Around 14 mark positive. Suppose by thinking that I am not sure between these two, you are leaving this question. 100% you will leave this 12 to 14 marks. 12 to 14 marks, can you imagine? Half mark either in or out. So here it is like toss. Take a coin there and put head means A, head means C, tails means D. Coin, toss the coin. If it is coming D, it's correct. C, wrong, let's say. Head and tail. Then also you will get this probability. That's the fact, right? You can't be, can you tell me that, sir, I will opt this 20 and 20 out of 20 will be wrong, right, and 0 would be wrong? Very difficult. 0 would be right, 20 will be wrong. If you say, that is also impossible. I mean, if your luck is like you have written your luck from some heaven, some hell, then nobody can stop you, right? That means the God doesn't want you to clear this exam. So accept it. But I am sure that it won't happen. It won't happen. And secondly, remember, we are not just putting the toss wala thing. It's not like the complete, like the irrational logic. We use some logic here also. What kind of logic? We can think like the Australia is not that powerful country compared to the UK. UK was earlier superpower before US. So some logic you will apply and mark the thing here. Here, don't believe on your knowledge. Don't start thinking about your knowledge. Bring the common sense, peripheral knowledge here. Because here your knowledge stopped. Your knowledge is still piece 2. Now there is no knowledge available to solve this question. Now when the knowledge is not there, the first thing you have to apply here, when there is, first thing is that knowledge. The first weapon to solve the question is knowledge. Knowledge is done. You could solve these two with the knowledge. The second thing you have to apply is the common sense. You need use your peripheral knowledge, whatever understanding you have about these subjects and these things. You use the peripheral knowledge to derive one answer. Common sense. This is the second. Third is there are some tricks. It cannot be applied here, but tricks are there. Like the sometimes they say extreme statement. It is extreme. It is not extreme. It is like the general statement. It is positive statement. It is negative statement. Sometimes it is factual. Too much factual. Big fact. A lot of that elimination techniques are there. For match the following, if there the 4 pair are there, either it will be only 2 or only 4. It can't be only 1 or only 3. These things are well known tricks. Then you can go for the tricks, or you can go for the gut feeling. And gut feeling also supports you someday. So the four things you have. Knowledge, if you are not able to use, you need to use the common sense, but you cannot leave the question. Remember, this type of question you cannot leave. If you leave, you will end up solving very less number of questions. And then go for the tricks and the gut feeling if you are not getting. If no tricks is applicable, whatever you have prepared, go for the gut feeling. You feel like UK will be the right. It happens, and my gut feeling is saying that this will be the correct. Because anyhow you have to go for this one, either C or D. So go for the gut feeling. But please don't come by leaving this question. Okay, this type of question. Even I solve, even if let's say that I could eliminate only one option. I know that the France is wrong answer. I'm confused between these 3. Then also I'll solve this question. But that I'll solve this only when I have counted the number of questions I have solved. Suppose I have already reached the around 85 or something, and I understood by solving the whole paper that paper level is difficult compared to the previous years. That means there is more probability that the negative marking will be higher. So that time I won't go for the higher risk. And that decision you can only take if you have understood that the paper is somewhat difficult or easier. If it is easier side, I will go for it. Because the people are going to solve more number of questions if it is easy to medium. Right. So here also again I will use the knowledge when I eliminate it. Then I'll see the common sense what it is saying, tricks and the gut feeling. These things are underrated in the UPSC prelims. People believe more on the knowledge part. Yes, this is the ideal thing, but it's very difficult to get all 100 or the even 80, even 70, even 60 with the knowledge. You have to use these three other things: common sense, tricks, and the gut feeling. Okay, don't fear. You have to take risk. Risk taking is the key characteristic of a civil servant. But take it calculated risk. Practice these things. Don't go there and just this is the gut feeling. This is the gut feeling. No, don't do that. Practice. I'm thinking we all are educated now. We are preparing and then going. We are not just before exam. Just you search like how to clear the exam in one day. If I believe you are not in that category, right? So you have the peripheral knowledge. You can use them and solve that.